easily considered, and it's hoped that changes may be made.
Third oral question, Baroness Burt of Solihull.
My Lords, I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name on the order paper.
My Lords, the UK is a proud signatory of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. However, the government supports faith schools' ability to set faith-based oversubscription criteria. This allows parents to have their children educated in line with their religious beliefs. Faith schools can give priority to applicants on the basis of faith only where they are oversubscribed. Where places are available, they must admit all children who apply.
My Lords, I'm not entirely sure that's quite correct. And not a lot of people know this, but children from non-religious families may experience double discrimination when it comes to selection at schools. Approximately 40% of all faith schools and 60% of Catholic schools give priority to children of families of any religion against those of no religion. I must say that as an equality spokesperson and a humanist, I'm in agreement with the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which has urged the UK to end the use of religion as a selection criterion for school admissions in England. So wouldn't the Minister agree that all children, irrespective of faith or belief background, should have equal right to access schools funded by taxpayers' money?
Well, as I tried to set out in my initial answer, we believe that all children do have equal access, and it is only when a school is oversubscribed that the admissions authority can introduce additional restrictions, and indeed there are many faith schools who do not restrict on the basis of faith.
These remarks from a parent in Oldham who said to Humanist UK, I quote, "The 2021 census found that those of no religion and those of other faiths than Christianity now form a majority of the population in our town. Yep. So it is a great injustice that one of the best schools in Oldham actively prevents local children from benefiting from its excellent teaching."
Here.
I think if there's a specific example where the noble lady believes that the admissions code is not being followed by a school, I'd be delighted if she referred that to me.
My Lord, as there is no Anglican bishop in the House to put forward the view of the Anglican, my church, I should remind the House that I did go to a Church of England primary school back in the 1940s when we'd been evacuated to Southport. And neither of my parents were asked whether they were members of the Church of England, because neither were. And I know of no secondary Anglican school that has ever debarred a child on grounds of religion. They are open to all.
I'm not quite clear what my noble friend's question was on that, but he is absolutely right that in terms of oversubscription, certainly at primary, there is no difference between faith and non-faith schools.
My Lords. The Minister will probably be aware that the UK is one of only 4 countries within the OECD which allows state-funded schools to discriminate on grounds of religion in their admission practices. The others are Israel, Ireland and Estonia. And Ireland very recently ended discrimination in their admission practices for Catholic junior schools. Does the Minister accept that it is high time that this country should also end its discrimination on grounds of religion into state-funded schools?
I think it's really hard to compare the role of faith-based schools between countries with an overwhelmingly dominant faith and those which are, such as we are all very proud to live in, one with many faiths where all are respected.
My Lords, could I agree with my noble friend, Lord Baker, that it's a great pity there is not a bishop there are 26 of them entitled to sit in your Lordship's House, here to defend the wonderful contribution that the established church has made to education through the centuries. And should we not pay proper regard to that, and in doing so accept that Christian parents should have some degree of priority if there are vacancies in a Church of England school?
Well, I think I would share my noble friend's warm welcome to the remarkable work of all our schools, but including our faith schools all around the country.
Present when the then Education Secretary, Michael Gove, on a visit to Guru Nanak School in Hayes, applauded Sikh respect for other faiths shown in assemblies and in teaching. This and high academic performance leads to oversubscription for entry. Would the noble Baroness the Minister agree that greater support should be given to faith schools that teach respect and inclusivity over those grounded in divisive belief that their faith alone has a monopoly of truth?
Well, I don't accept that there are faith schools who have the kind of perspective that the noble Lord set out. I think that we work very hard with all our schools, and schools work together in local areas to make sure that those values of respect, particularly for those of any other faith or none, are upheld, and that is part of our citizenship curriculum and part of our fundamental British values.
It's estimated that 1.2 million school places are subject to religious selection. And my lords, there is evidence that there are patterns of low numbers of pupils eligible for free school meals, which of course is a measure of deprivation, in English faith schools. So would the noble lady the Minister share her reflections and concerns about a selection process that may have led to this, and whether the Department of Education is going to take a deeper look at this?
Well, I did look at those numbers just before this question because I anticipated the noble lady might go there, and I'm happy to pick this up with her afterwards, but the data that I looked at suggests that there's very little difference in terms of profile of deprivation between faith schools and non-faith schools.
My Lord, would I declaring interest as a former head teacher of a Church of England school. As the Minister knows, a third of all our schools in England are faith schools. She will also know that in 2010 we introduced the 50% rule, where 50% of new academies had to have open places. I wonder whether her department has reviewed the success of that scheme in terms of community cohesion, understanding of different cultures, different faiths, and whether we should now extend it to all faith schools.
I'm not aware that we have looked at any of those proposals in detail in the way that the noble Lord describes, but I'm aware that all schools take very seriously their role in relation to community cohesion, and I would say potentially in particular faith schools.
My noble friend accept that the rights of parents to have their children educated according to their own religious beliefs is protected by Article 2 of the First Protocol of the European Convention of Human Rights? And does she accept that Catholic schools, at least, are not state schools?
I'm not quite sure that I follow. Catholic schools, many Catholic schools outside, all Catholic schools outside the independent sector are funded by the state, to the best of my knowledge.
My Lord, so I'm a product.
My Lords, as a former Archbishop of Canterbury, perhaps I might be allowed to speak on behalf of the absent benches. I want to echo the words of Lord Baker. I think the very heart of Anglicanism of the Church of England has been tolerance to other faiths, a welcome to other faiths. And I wonder if the Minister will agree that that's always been the focus of education in England itself, and we all want it to continue.
Well, the Noble and Right Reverend Prelate makes a very important point, and I would agree absolutely with him.
Oral question, Lord Kennedy of Southwark.
My Lords, I beg